So Invincible Season 3 truly delivered, and after a rocky second season, I feel like the way in which they just built such a compelling narrative across the season was super impressive, and I love how sophisticated the storytelling is in this show as they look at both superheroism in such a cool way, whilst also looking at the humanity behind these characters in such a brilliant way. And I just love Mark Grayson's arc across the season and how the pressure just keeps on building as the episodes are progressing. I mean, you can totally see why Shrinking Ray is just so over it and just wants to hang up the superhero mantle and just try to live a normal life. Unfortunately though, Mark Grayson just can't get the same grace as there are so many people that are just after him. So let's look at all of the big moments from season 3, and I'm going to be going in consecutive order, so from the start of the season to the end. So I thought it was really interesting how Oliver gets powers at such a young age, and so he is immediately completely different to Mark's journey. And speaking of Mark, I thought it was really powerful. By the end of it, he is actually agreeing with Oliver that sometimes he is happy to let go of his no-kill rule. And it will be interesting to see how this progresses in the next couple of seasons. I'm sure that he will go back to his normal ways at some point. I thought Mark and Cecil made a nice pairing right at the start, but then this was inevitably going to be destroyed when Mark's heart is literally breaking that Cecil was creating the Reanimen behind his back. And then this led to the Titan team members deciding to leave the Guardians of the Globe and reforming their previous group, and then just seeing Rexplode deciding to sacrifice himself in order to destroy that Invincible variant was just so emotional. And now we know that Mark is going to get even further betrayed by Cecil, who has now not only got the Reanimen but has now got an invincible versions of these robots. I honestly cannot wait to see Mark's reaction. And I loved all of the twists and turns with Titan and Machine Head. I feel like as a pairing, those two are actually really wicked too. And how Titan uses and manipulates Invincible once again, and they think that this is the last time that they're going to see Mr. Liu, but he is still alive, and Machine Head is now taking over his position as head of the Order. So I honestly cannot wait to see this storyline progressing further. It was a little bit disappointing though that Mahershala Ali was replaced as the voice of Titan, as he was so good in season 1. And I thought when the episode started, I didn't think that Powerplex was going to be that great of a character, but by the end of it, he was so compelling and so much validity in his arguments that all of this death and destruction wouldn't have taken place if Invincible wasn't in the picture, and you can't really argue with him. Of course, they depicted him as being really mentally unwell, which is a bit of a shame, but I feel like this character was so powerful from a humanity perspective, as well as the fact that he unwillingly killed his wife and kid. So tragic. I absolutely loved all of the Invincible variants descending into this timeline and just causing so much carnage. Mark literally cannot catch a break, and I think it's really interesting how they show that this universe's Mark is pretty much the odd one out, as he is the only really good one. My main criticism though is that they rushed this. I feel like this arc could have been spread across a couple of episodes rather than just being condensed into half an episode. And then of course we have the onslaught that is the unstoppable Conquest, and how much destruction he was able to cause, as he is so brutal, so sadistic, so unhinged, so unstoppable, and he literally doesn't have a line that he won't cross. And so this character is so terrifying, and literally is somebody that Mark hasn't come across yet, as even though there are a lot of mirroring and similarities between his fight with Nolan at the end of season 1, at least Nolan wanted to preserve the Earth to some extent, whereas Conquest just doesn't care about causing so much carnage and destruction. And you can also see Mark's heart breaking when both Oliver and Atom Eve are almost going to lose their life at the hands of Conquest. And I loved it that Atom Eve finally had her moment to shine and was really able to show how much of an unstoppable character she truly can be, which we absolutely saw in the Atom Eve special, where you were really able to see that her powers are some of the best that any superhero character has got. I do feel like they need to up the chemistry though between Atom Eve and Mark, as it does kind of feel more like friendship rather than a full-on relationship. And I absolutely love it how the final episode sets up the next season in such a good way. So the final post-credit scene was showing that Mark is going to eventually go to hell, especially after he has now hung up his no-kill rule, and this is something that Robert Kirkman has always wanted to do, so now he will get his wish, and we'll get some brand new material that hasn't been covered in the comic books yet. We'll also see a first further evolution with Atom Eve's powers, as we got to see a little bit of a glimpse of this with all of the outfits melting and glowing. And if Cecil thinks that he is going to be able to keep Conquest at bay, then he has got another thing coming, and I cannot wait to see round 2 of Mark versus Conquest, as you just know the stakes are going to be even higher next time. I also loved how they had right in the background all of Alan trying to save Nolan and having Battle Beast in that mix as well, so I cannot wait to see those 3 characters hopefully reuniting with Mark, both from the superheroism point of view as well as the emotional, heartbreaking moments, as well as a number of other characters hopefully seeing Nolan, for example Cecil and Debbie. And I can't wait to see what Oliver's going to make of the dynamic between Nolan and Mark. And now we've got all of Mark's variants stuck in a planet where they're potentially going to fight each other, and seeing Invincible chucked into that mix will be interesting. And then back in our timeline, we've also got the robot variants of Invincible. I cannot wait to see his reaction with Cecil when he eventually sees this in the battleground. And maybe they're going to make an appearance when all of the sequins are going to come out and try and take over everybody. And before he's redeemed, I'm sure that Angstrom Levi will be causing even more chaos and carnage. It's a little bit of a shame that they were really apprehensive to not really go into the multiverse again. So I'm hoping in future seasons they'll really do that, as I feel like Angstrom Levi's powers, you have to use the multiverse if you're going to use this character. We had a cameo appearance with the Mummy. I wonder if he's going to finally get his proper host in the next season, maybe in season 5. And I'm sure the Viltrumite war will be spread across multiple seasons, especially now that we know there's not that many pure blood Viltrumites left, and maybe Robot is going to create a way in which they can all be wiped out. And Robert Kirkman has said that Thrug has been casted, so I cannot wait to see this guy, the head of the entire Viltrumite army, finally making his appearance. And I'm sure Dinosaurus will be there, but it will be destroyed in the first couple of episodes. So I thoroughly enjoyed Invincible Season 3. I think it's totally back on top, and I'm so glad that adult animation is finally entering into the mainstream, as I feel like this art form is so brilliant, but has so far not really connected in the way that it should do. But I just cannot wait to see what's going to happen next in Season 4 and beyond, as you just know that this franchise is just going to go from strength to strength, especially as they're going to extend it in comic book form, in video game form, in live action form, which is super exciting. But as far as Invincible Season 3 is concerned, I absolutely loved it, and so I'm going to give it a mega 8 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of Invincible Season 3? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.